He's big. He's bad. He's a god?
It's the Andy and Remington Steel Show on your screens tonight. It's the Andy and Remington Steel Show for your home delight. We're talking about Age of Sigmar and anything else that is cool. Talking about Warhammer Fantasy, it's easy to learn the rules. Andy and Remington, Andy and Remington, Andy and Remington Show.
Welcome, one and all. It's time once again for the Andy and Rem Show. This time, episode 158. And we don't exactly have a guest, but we've certainly been joined this week by a huge arrival on the scene. No, I'm not talking about any of Remington's neighbours coming round with their threatening behaviour. He slandered them on the show. Talking, of course, about KRAGNOS. KRAGNOS. How are we supposed to pronounce that? Anyway, let's get rid of the thumbnail because you can still see him, even when it's gone, because there he is. And I'm joined as usual by Mr. Remington Steele there, with sunlight beaming in through his window there.
No need for blinds tonight, Andy. How are you?
Radiant. But not as radiant as your window.
No, I can see your beard looking wispy. Wispy. Yes.
Yes, going for the length beard and eventually sharpen it to a fine point.
I like it.
Use it as weaponry.
Plats as well. You can put some Viking plat. So were you shocked by yesterday's reveal? There was quite a few bits and bobs that come out.
Yes, there was definitely a memo going round, I think, in the GW sculptor's office a few months ago. And it went something like, guys, centaurs, we don't have enough of them. We just are lacking in things that have the lower half of the body of something else, and then a torso and the arms and the head of another creature slapped onto where the neck should be. Now, give us more.
Exactly. At first glance, I thought, is this the new Dragon Ogre? Okay, is this the caller of the lightning, the leader of the Dragon Ogres, come back from Warhammer Fantasy into Age of Sigmar? Or is it some kind of new bull centaur, right? No, it was neither. It was KRAGNOS, and he is the subject of the final book of Shattered, not Shattered Dominion, the new books, Broken Realms, yes. So, basically, this guy, he can lead any sort of destruction force.
Yes, and in fact, while we're talking, let's look at a couple of these videos in silence that they've given us. I'm sure this one is totally ruined by it being silent. This is the more...
Well, you can do the commentary, Andy. We always like that.
Okay. In a broken realm, destruction reigns. Two brothers battle for dominance. KRAGNOS, strongest of them all. Do you want to do a bit?
He held in his heart the beating hand of his brother and recovered a shield from stone. And all the orcs paid homage to KRAGNOS, the killer and slayer of dragons. Look, there's him wrestling with one now. Would you take a mace to a dragon?
A mace to a dragon fight, yes.
You might take a mace and hit an ancient slan with it.
Just imagine the ancient slan just turning to dust.
Yes.
Hit with that mace.
That would be the ideal weapon. But what have we here? No, KRAGNOS bursts through the caves and the underground into the mortal realms, and he sees before him plenty of things he can destroy. Even though it looks like it's been knackered and battered already, makes no odds to KRAGNOS because look, before him, he leads an army of ogres and orcs.
Well, there you go. Free at last from his mystical bonds, the ancient god of earthquakes, slayer of dragons, and force of unalloyed destruction has returned to rock the mortal realms. So let's have a look at this video now. I think this is the actual miniature, more of a showcase, this one.
The last survivor of an ancient race, not dragon ogres. KRAGNOS is nothing like we've seen in Age of Sigmar Warhammer.
Well, he's kind of like some things we've seen before, let's be honest
I
now.
know, it's debatable, isn't it? He's worshipped as a god by the force of destruction, and it's easy to see why. Not really. He's got a really little head. He towers over all but the mega gargants, and tales of his might have been passed down since the age of myth. And as a little relic, he's got the little toy with him there. If you look carefully at the bottom of his base, except he hasn't got any free hands to hold it, so maybe he just kicks it along as he
He's
gallops.
certainly massive. And it's notable that while he is standing on a rock, he's not just perched on it with one of his toes. It's actually, he's got a solid grounding. He's got a good footing beneath him.
Talking of footing, it's probably useful he's got 4 hoofs because you want as much stability as possible if you are the one causing an earthquake, right?
That is true. I hadn't considered that, actually.
Mm-hmm.
But yes, his head is a bit on the small side, people have commented. And we seem to say this a lot about the GW releases. It's a really amazing model, but the head's a bit weird.
Is it though? Or is it the ginormous horns?
I'm not sure about the horns, you know. I think we've seen enough things with big horns like that recently. The head still is strange.
Is KRAGNOS male or female?
It does say his up there.
Does say his. I can't see any his parts there. Just say.
Well, they don't usually sculpt too many intimate details into these miniatures, you know. Especially when they're the more beastly variety.
Well, I don't know. It looks amazing, doesn't it? I can't see this guy defeating dragons. Well, one, because he can't fly, and if I was a dragon, I would just fly away. Simples, right?
But what if he's got a good leap on him?
Well, I could breathe fire on him, I suppose. I could maybe pick him up and drop him from a height.
I think with the head, in the old days, miniatures, things like even dragons, the actual models weren't that vast. So big monsters of the past would have gigantic heads, and that's where they would put all the character into them. I'm thinking of things like the Lamassu, for instance, the Chaos Dwarf model. Nowadays, the heads are a lot smaller on these creatures. And that first became something that people noted, I feel, when... Was it the new Karl Franz and his Griffin?
The new Karl Franz? I don't know if it's new.
Well, it was new at the time. And it had two... The one that you could give it 2 heads.
Yeah, you can see that in the back of my miniature cabinet, just. You can see that.
Yeah, but the heads were quite small, weren't they? Compared to the rest of the model.
Yeah, correct.
And it was like a perspective kind of thing, like you're supposed to be low down on the ground so the head would look smaller. So,
yeah, I mean, the older miniatures, right, 80s, 90s, the heads are always massive.
yes.
And it gives them a sort of a comedic, characterful sort of, well, it's a characterful sculpt, isn't it? Now, but then I used to think the small-headed designs were like other games, miniature manufacturers did them generally, didn't they? And Games Workshop have obviously followed their suit, or maybe hired their sculptures. I don't know.
If you look at the orcs, for instance, that Games Workshop have done over the years, the orcs' heads have got bigger over time.
Yeah, for sure. But so have their bodies now.
Yeah, the bodies have caught up now, but for a while it was all about growing of the heads.
Yeah. I mean, Andy, look, if you showed me that picture and you said, what faction do you think he should be in? I would say Beastmen all day long.
It does look like this should be the launch of a new Beastman faction, doesn't it?
Yeah,
Can you imagine this guy leading all of your hooved warriors into combat?
absolutely. Yeah, I can't see him leading orcs though, or or ogres. I mean, they're just completely different. But what do I know? I'm just saying he would be perfect as a some sort of beast lord, wouldn't he?
Well, let's have a look. It says here Kragnos is a nigh unstoppable juggernaut of destruction, especially when wielding the legendary shield Tusk Breaker. Armed with the Dread Mace, I think it could have had a more creative name for the Dread Mace there. Made from the heart of a mountain, his realm-splitting might becomes truly cataclysmic. Having hunted the ancient race of drakes nearly to extinction for little more than sport, there's not much left that can survive his focused rage.
Well, he's not a conservationist, is he? He's not really thought about the well-being of the planet.
No,
Annihilating a breed of animal completely. That's really sad. But what I do like is his shield. His shield looks it's beautiful colours, right? Very nice. Shield looks beautiful.
very ornate there, very ornate indeed. Lots
Um,
of
I mean,
detail going on.
even that shield. Look at the side pose there. That is a beautiful model, right? But even the shield is named after something you'd think would be a Beastman name, wouldn't you? To me, it's
Hmm.
Beastman all day long. Maybe Chaos, Dwarven Darkness says, yeah, absolutely. Like I said at the start, he could be I thought he was a dragon ogre to start with.
So he gets his own Broken Realms book. And that's all we know about him so far, apart from the fact he boosts the bravery characteristic of friendly destruction units.
Which is good because that's always a bit of a weakness, isn't it, with destruction forces?
Well, you would really feel a bit more brave if you had this monstrosity just ploughing into battle with you. Unless he was stomping around near you, in which case maybe your bravery might take a bit of a hit. But
It
just
would be
having him on your
fun though.
side.
Wouldn't it be fun just to see him like swiping away hordes of of Sigmarines with that giant mace, their armor just being crushed to dust as he sweeps them aside.
That would be a sight to behold. So I'm sure we'll see much more on this guy in the coming weeks. And maybe we'll even get 360 very soon as well. That'd be a treat.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd like to read that book. Might be fun.
And they gave us a quick rundown of lots of things we've already seen here as well. So we've got the Witch Hunters, we've
Yeah.
got the Slan, and we've got these demons with their various
Yeah.
decoration. And then we've got the floating flute
Yeah.
enthusiast.
So these, I presume, feature in the book.
I assume so, yes.
Uh-huh.
And you can actually see the creature himself there, Kragnos, and it is massive. Let's
Massive.
zoom in on this page. Let's see if I can actually do it.
But if a giant is going to cost about £100, right? And this guy might cost even more.
Hey, look at the size of him.
It's massive.
He's a monster indeed.
I mean, the rock on his base is taller than an ogre.
Yeah, and
Right?
they don't put any gargants right next to him, and they did make a point of saying that he doesn't tower over them. Because obviously, mega gargants are supposed to be the biggest of the big. They've got a few of them stomping around in the background just so he doesn't look small by comparison. But
Yeah.
you know how tall an ogre is. So he's like 4 ogres in height. It's pretty chunky if you ask me.
I mean, it's a shame. I mean, it's kind of cool that any destruction force can field him, but I mean, the Beastmen could have done with someone like him, couldn't they?
Here's the thing though, are we going to see a Mega Gargant price point for Kragnos?
Absolutely, and then some. That's my prediction.
You think he's going to be more than a Mega Gargant?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I think? I am going to make a bold prediction now that he is going to be slightly cheaper than a Mega Gargant.
Wow.
Based on the fact that I don't think there'll be lots of options in the kit. So I think they'll be able to fit him onto slightly less sprues than a Mega Gargant.
I got you. Yes.
So
more than £75.
yes, I think
So
he'll be. I think the Mega Gargant's £120. I think
yeah,
he'll be over 100, but not 120. That's my
right.
prediction.
I got you.
So maybe like £110.
So more than Morathi costs then,
Yes,
more than a Star Drake.
yes. What do you think? What's your price
Uh,
point?
I'm going to say £85.
Very
Eight.
optimistic, I feel there.
Yeah.
Well, that's enough of him for now. Let's have a look at some of this other stuff, because you would think that one creature that's kind of two creatures grafted together would be enough. But no. Undead are getting in on the action as well, because we've got this.
Well, this is out of the blue.
Lau Kavai, the Mother of Nightmares. Now look at that. It is. How would you even start describing this?
Crazy, man. Crazy.
Yeah,
Oh,
so it's often when you
it-
see these kind of centaur-like creatures, they the lower half of it is more like a horse or a lion or something like that, something that's a little less humanoid shaped.
I mean, Andy, back in the day, we used to.
Looks weird because I think it's the spot on the body it comes in. Because with the typical centaur, obviously it kicks in where the torso comes in, where the horse's neck would be. But a horse's anatomy isn't the same as a person's anatomy, so it doesn't look as jarring. Whereas this one, it's kind of, apart from the fact it's got big wing fingers, it looks vaguely humanoid, this creature. But then on top of its shoulders, it's just got a torso.
Yeah,
Does
I
look
know where a
strange.
head should be. There's a torso, so it's like elongated. But then the Vargeist, I'm going to call it a Vargeist. The Vargeist's arms are where the legs should be of the vampire. So I mean, it's crazy, man. It's a crazy miniature.
Well,
It looks.
Colin says that looks awful. Dwarven Darkness says kill it. Yeah,
It's a cool miniature, though. I mean, hello, Brad. Have we got any more pictures, Andy?
yes, it definitely meets the rule of cool, but it's also weird and it's tough to wrap your brain around.
Mickey Genver, hello. She says she would invite this lady in for tea. Would you, Andy?
You should not invite a vampire anywhere,
No, because
especially not in for tea.
once they're in, you'll never get rid of them.
Yeah, they're just like unwelcome visitors after.
Kind of like groupies, you know.
So yeah, there's that. Very weird, but obviously cool. But is that the last of those kind of creatures?
No, this is a character one, but there's more, isn't there?
Well, first of all, now what the hell is this? Because to look at it from there, you'd think, okay, this is just like your standard hero character. But then, wait a minute, are those normal sized? So is this thing actually massive? Very weird.
That's a wicked miniature. That's Radikar. Now I showed you a picture of Radikar from the city, and this is sort of Radikar unleashed, I suppose. Just become in total beast mode, and he's got two groupies by his side there. They look very
Look at
loyal.
the blood dripping down into this goblet that one of them's holding.
But Andy, don't you think it's weird? Why wasn't this guy in Curse City? And why are they showing him off a couple of weeks after Curse City was released? And what's going on there?
I did see someone, I don't know whether they were joking or whether there was a legitimate theory, someone was suggesting that it was part of an expansion that's been cancelled or something.
Ah,
But
maybe they're going to re-release Curse City with this guy in it. I don't know.
who knows?
Maybe it's all been cancelled. Like Curse City is finished after 1 day of release. And then, yeah, like you say, this guy's was gonna be in an expansion, but they thought, well, forget it. We'll just put him out and stick him in the Vampire Count's new army.
Who knows?
But he
Maybe
looks pretty.
maybe we'll find out the truth one day. As it turns out, rumours of Radakar the Wolf's demise have been greatly exaggerated, now known as the Beast. His animal rage has been unleashed. He bides his time prowling shyish and plotting revenge. Swollen with power and corrupted in form, he has retained his animal cunning, lust for power, and thirst for blood. And that wolf pelt cloak, which honestly fits better now.
Now, I know I'm calling them Vampire Counts. I shouldn't. What are they called? The Soul Blight Lords or something?
Soulblight Grave Lords.
Grave Lords, right? Okay. Well, I think they're magnificent. This new faction appeals to me. They've got it all covered. They've got bat themed. They've got wolf themed. They've got sort of royal vampires. They've got blood battle thirsty vampires.
Are you ready for another one?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Belladama Volga, Thirst of the Virkos.
Love it. Virkos. How do you even say
Wolves.
that? Virkos.
That is maybe the biggest colour I've ever seen.
That's going to keep her warm, definitely. But why the feathers? She's almost like a Kislevite, isn't she? She's like a Kislev vampire.
Wearing a furry version of like one of those Harry Hill collars.
That's true, and I think I saw Warhammer Weekly last night, and they were covering this reveal show, and they said she's riding upon a living wolf, whereas the other wolves you're going to see are undead wolves.
Well,
So
fancy
there you go.
pants riding around on a living wolf. Dead wolf's not good enough for you. Well, let's have a look at the new dire wolves. Because the old dire wolves, they weren't that great models. They weren't particularly dynamic, and if you think back in the day, everything had to rank up as well.
No, they're a bit like the Chaos Warhounds, weren't they? They were kind of a bit crap, really.
Yeah, they were better than the old metal dire wolves, which were pretty terrible back in the day. But
Yeah.
even newer dire wolves now, with extra dynamic poses. Battle line unit for any Soulblight Gravelord's army, fighting not only for that and their vampiric kin, but all manner of undead forces. So it's what we wanted, and we've been getting it just shoveled all over us, really. We wanted a more kind of grounded, less zany Age of Sigmar faction, something a bit more classical. And we can't really complain, can we, with these vampires and their
No,
minions?
but if I was a Gloomspite Gips player, I'd be a bit frustrated that they've got these wolves out, but they could have released some proper wolf riders, not just the 3 that you get in Beast Chasm. What's it called? Underworlds. They could have brought out a proper box with a proper unit, which I thought would have done well. But yeah, these guys are good. A lot of commotion going on about this vampiress's feet. I think
Yes.
got dog feet, hasn't she?
I'm sure there's some benefit to that.
Well, she's going to struggle with high heels, isn't she? High heels and boots. Definitely going to struggle.
Yes, but if you're riding on wolves, then that's not your biggest concern, really.
No, I don't know. They're quite elegant. The more I look at them, the more I think, well, they're not too bad.
These are very tasty wolves. I've got some of the last versions of dire wolves, and they're definitely not as nice as these ones.
Now, can you use dire wolves for anything else? Do they only belong in an undead army, right?
Yes.
Because Chaos Warhounds, you could use them in any kind of Chaos army, I suppose, couldn't you? Oh, look, they're really big. Look how big they are. They're like...
They are big,
pretty
and
chunky.
what about that beast as well?
I mean, the skeletons look phenomenal. The skeletons look like simply magnificent, and the blood dragon, blood knights at the back. But yeah, the towering new centerpiece model looks really weird.
Tons of companies out there that make really nice undead models, obviously, because it's very popular fantasy trope. And GW were kind of left in their own dust. Kind of. They intentionally left themselves there by just not giving attention to the classic kind of undead.
No.
And it's almost like they've taken it as a personal challenge to reclaim that throne.
They've done great. I mean, look, you can see old and new. You've got the Terrorgeist at the back. You've got Vargeist there, but look, you've also got what I think are new zombies. Because I'm looking at those zombies in the middle, and they are not. I don't think they're the zombies that you get in Curse City, but they look kind of similar. So I think there's going to be some.
Tell from this picture, there's a corpse cart back there as well. Some of the old classics are still in there. The new Fellbats.
The new Fellbats look really cool. Yeah, much better than the old ones, that's for sure.
Okay, so that's all we've got for Age of Sigmar there.
I mean, Andy, is that it? Do you think that's it for this faction? Do you think we'll get any more? Because we've had a Vampire Lord there, haven't we? And we've had the Rat Prince guy.
It's tough to say because when it seems like everyone's wallet is safe, they seem to unleash a fresh new torrent of goodness.
Yeah, well, when's this stuff coming out? That's a good question, isn't it?
Well, I don't know if that's actually been announced, but it's like a non-stop, like tidal wave of reveals. And we can have a quick look at the 40k stuff as well. Not a very extensive look. There was actually, I saw some jokes going around on Facebook about how allegedly boring all the 40k stuff is compared to all that outlandish Age of Sigmar stuff we've just seen. So we've got some Sisters of Battle, essentially.
Wow, that's amazing. What's that?
It is.
That's a cool
this thing.
You like an archdeacon or something? Archdeaconess.
Assume such a magnificent battle suit.
Brad Jimenez, hey Brad, he's come up with a good point. I kind of wish they would have gone for gypsy henchmen instead of zombies and skeletons with these vamps. That would have been cool, wouldn't it?
I think I can visualize what he's
because
thinking there.
The gypsy henchmen could have sort of pistols, couldn't they? They could have a shooting attack, which the vampires have always lacked.
I think I understand what he's getting at. So we've got more stuff here. And people have been highly critical of the faces a lot and the hair in this faction. And they certainly look different. We've seen this one before, haven't we?
No. They're amazing.
I think we've seen this one before. So we were commenting that this pose was shared with another model that was teased at the same time. Then we've got this one. Kind of cool. Won't go wrong with a nice plasma pistol. And
I've seen her.
I don't know if we've seen this one. These 3 candles. We've got more pictures here. Yeah, these are pretty cool. There's nice shields and maces.
Now, if you arrived on an alien planet, Andy, would having that metal griddle on your back with 3 candles lit be a priority for you? I don't know. I don't think so.
It depends if I want to spread some kind of holy word that requires candles as...
I mean, I painted my front gate the other day and it looked very similar to that, but I wouldn't really think putting a gate on the back of my head.
Well, maybe that's why you're not a spacefaring warrior.
Well, it definitely protects you from blows from behind, right? It's like a shield behind your head. But not very good if you're trying to get through a door.
Cool looking Paragon warsuits. Cool.
Nice. So, Andy, are you into Sister Battle? Is it a faction?
I think they're more interesting than your typical Space Marine.
Oh, without doubt.
Just
Without
the,
doubt.
the feel of them, the iconography. It's all just a level or two above in intrigue compared to all the other generic Space Marine chapters, I think. Pretty cool. What do you think then?
Yeah, I love it. I was just thinking, like, why make more Space Marines when you can have such characterful sub factions like these?
I assume because Space Marines sell a bucket load every time.
Hmm. Well, there is that, I suppose. Who am I to argue?
And they've
Um,
got a tank as well.
you know what?
And
I'm gonna be calling in on Warhammer World soon, so I'm gonna take a bunch of pictures, maybe even a couple of sneaky videos.
dun dun dun.
I might even try and get into the head office if I can. Maybe I can gypsy my way in there unseen and see if it's really true. If there is a memo going around saying, "Watch out for this man, Andy 2D6,"
I'm
find
sure
out if
there
those
is.
rumors are true.
Anyway, that's enough of that. It's time for
Remington's Millions.
there you go. Give us the scoop. Anything new and exciting? It just looks like more of the same to me.
Ah, right. Yeah, this is the yearly chart. You can see a W forming there, big W. So we've had, well, it's better than this time last year. Okay, this time last year, Games Workshop was just sort of recovering from the COVID dip in terms of its share price. Um, and since then, it's recovered 80% from where it was this time last year. Okay, so if you put £100 worth into Games Workshop shares, it would have bought you 1.8 shares, something like that. And yeah, you would have been rewarded with £80. So your shares would now be worth £180, I think, something like that. So yeah, pretty good deal if you ask me. If you can hang on for a year through all the ups and downs. The question is, Andy, is there another 80% in this stock? Do you think it could go up to £190 a share? Really? We're
Well,
on
in my
100.
vast financial expertise, I think probably can. And yeah, at that point, you would start getting carried away and
If it,
think that the
yeah.
actual ceiling is vastly higher than that, even.
Well, you look at the share price, okay, and you times that by the number of shares there are on the market, and that gives you a company's market cap value. And I think when Games Workshop hit something like £100 a share, they realised it had a bigger market cap than some of the most famous companies in Europe. Massive. So some people think it's overvalued, but the fact is, its fundamentals are amazing. I mean, it's growing. It's got loads of cash. It pays a dividend, and it only pays a dividend with truly surplus cash. So basically, that means they've got so much cash they don't know what to do with it, so they give it to shareholders. So they're building new facilities. You can see all the models coming out, so they must be doing pretty damn well. And I always remember 10 years ago, before Age of Sigmar come out, and it was the sort of death throes of Warhammer Fantasy, and the shelves started to become slimmer and slimmer, and there's no new product ever coming out. I remember people walking into my local shop saying, "Yeah, Games Workshop are going to go bust. No one's into Warhammer Fantasy. Warhammer 40k 6th or 7th edition, whatever edition it was back then. Yeah, it's totally flopped." But look what's happened. It's remarkable, really.
It's quite a turnaround in just their entire their public face as much as anything as well.
I think that's been the biggest change ever since 2014, 2015. It's all when the new CEO came on board, introduced Age of Sigmar, but also I think they changed their attitude towards how um, their sort of dealings with the Warhammer community. Instead of becoming a closed shop, they became an open shop. And we've got Warhammer Community now. Lots of Games Workshop endorsed events. Well, until COVID anyway. And lots of updates all the time. So I think that's been a major difference. Is that the reason behind the success? I don't know, but it's certainly been a good thing.
Now, speaking of the Warhammer community, I was having a browse there earlier, picking up some stuff for the show, and I came across this bit of a wild Be'lakor interpretation.
Love it. He looks really cheesed off, doesn't he? He got a real sour face on him.
There's another.
Ugh, what's that worm coming out? The worm coming out. Ugh.
Yes, very unpleasant. But overall, interesting colour schemes, and look, you can see that one alongside a full Nurgle army there. Very fancy. But yeah, the Warhammer community, it's a good place to go and check out some fancy paintwork now and then. They do put. Back in the day, of course, it would have been in White Dwarf. You would see them putting a spotlight on community painters. Nowadays, you get a lot of it on the Warhammer community.
Yeah, there's something about that light blue and purple that they just go so well, don't they? Those two colours on Games Workshop miniatures.
Now, speaking of painting, we have some here that were posted in the Andy and Rem Show Discord server recently.
How do you join that, Andy? How do you join our Discord?
Well, there's a link in the description, in fact. Who knew?
Well, some old school metal minotaurs there. Well, some of them are anyway.
Yeah, there's a bit of a mixed bag of minotaurs here.
Nice.
And some more. And some more. And some more. Now that one, that's the old Doom Bull, isn't it? The one on the left there.
I think so.
I believe it is. And what we were talking about earlier with the sizes of the heads, very evident there. Look at the size of the head and the hands on that Doom Bull compared to its body.
Yeah, that's right. I love the Doom Ball, man. The Doom Ball is so much fun. Even in Age of Sigmar, Doom Ball, brilliant. It was just a juggernaut of destruction, man. Amazing.
Sick. Moving on to some amateur community painter here. Looks like they've been making some progress on Cursed City. So why don't you talk us through it? Because I think you know this pretty amateur level painter quite well.
He's an amateur level painter from the Midlands in the UK. Name's Remington Steele. It's pretty phenomenal, and his paintwork is renowned countrywide. In fact, internationally, because I've sold many collections of my paintwork. So yeah, Remington Steele, awesome paint job. You can see, yeah, that is one of Radegard, sort of ogre Cossack servants, you could say, ogre Cossack servants. So yeah, that's my first Cursed City finished painting. I need to do a bit on the base still, and yeah, I just haven't had much time this last week or two to do anything paint-wise. But there you go. Marvel at the beauty, Andy. Marvel at it.
My painting table, because with this monstrosity, I'm still waiting for some tentacles that I need for it. I've decided I'm going to make a start on this beastie that's been sitting on the shelf for a while, waiting for me to start work. I'll be getting onto that. That is, of course, the Ark World Fire Dragon, which is going to be a lot of fun indeed.
That's great miniature.
Sure is.
If you want to look back at our interview with the lead designer, the owner of Ark World, it's a good addition, man.
It's a fine episode, and it did quite good numbers as well, actually. Now then, got a couple of interesting things now. First of all, I know that Mr. Remington has been itching to get this one off his chest for a while, because it's time for
Remington's hot tip. Ooh.
That's right. Remington, deliver your hot tip. What's your hot tip of the week? Short, concise, spice.
Oh God, a hot tip regarding what?
Hobby.
Life, hobby.
Well,
Okay,
life
hobby.
if you want, if you think people need that kind of thing now.
Okay, I will throw back a question at you, Andy. Is it good to be obsessive about something?
It depends what it is and how far you take it, what the end goal is.
Well, I looked at the Curiosity box contents and thought the only way I'm going to get this finished is if I obsessively paint this stuff, and do it with some kind of plan. So paint Ratigar's minions, and then paint him, and then work on the heroes one by one. And it's very easy to get distracted. So many other things going on, like being sent more Mortal Realms things here, having lots of unpainted miniatures still, lots of new miniatures coming out. You have to be really focused and close your mind off everything else and just focus on that one thing. But yeah, obsessive is never good.
Controlled obsession
Yes,
is what you
discipline.
need. Yeah,
Yeah.
you can dedicate yourself to something and pour all your focus into it, so it becomes like an obsession, as long as you control the obsession. It does not control you.
No. And the other good thing about, one great thing about painting, little off topic here, is that you can multitask. Well, I certainly learned to multitask. Listen to audio books, check out new music, check out, the new Andy 2D6 video of him putting models together or talking about life and spice and all things nice. And you can still, get on with your painting as well. So, one good thing about painting, isn't it? And you can do foot exercises. So, keep fit while painting.
Yes, you can do it if you wish.
There you are. That's a lot of advice there.
Well, that was Remington's hot tip of the week. About as concise as usual, I would say. So, first of all, I'm going to disappoint some people. There's not going to be a full instalment of The Forest of Rem this week. It is going to be fully back next week. So for anyone who's not up on The Forest of Rem, you've got until next week to catch up on the previous couple of episodes, because we had some rather spicy action. I think we've had 3 episodes so far, haven't we?
I've had 3 episodes. I couldn't really tell you what's going on because not a lot's happened apart from me getting both hands eaten off by a wyvern that I'm trying to tame.
Yes, you did successfully tame it in the end. And you've got a sidekick now as well.
Well, just like all Disney movies, there's an annoying little sidekick, but his name's Timmy, and I'm
Jimothy.
definitely going to make sure that he gets killed as soon as possible by some monstrosity.
Well, we'll see how that turns out. Yeah. So, of course, though, we do have time for everyone's favourite segment. A segment that you kind of just want to sit back, close your eyes, unwind. Let me find a nice... What's the most relaxing image that we've looked at so far? Maybe that one. Let's have a look at this Bellacore. And let's bring up some steam on the screen there, because it's time for you to sit back, close your eyes, and enter
Andy's Deep Bar.
Yes.
I like this bit as well. Goes off for a sec.
It's time to enter and deep. So, close your eyes, sit back, imagine yourself submerged in a warm, bubbling pool. Around the edges of the pool, safely, socially distant from you, are a variety of other people who the list of entrants to the pool roughly coincides with the people who have pledged to a specific amount on the Patreon for this channel. It's a strange coincidence, but it is notable. And as you crack an eyelid open, you may catch a glimpse of the following people seated around the edge of the pool. As you're deep in relaxation, you can just make out the blurry faces as the steam is up, obscuring your vision, but you can just about make out Cedar, Roshi, Tim, John, Graham, Nippleless, Eric, Brad, Barbara, and Guy. All of them perched around the edge, socially distant from each other, absorbing the steam, pure relaxation. Bath. But what's this? A bubble catches your attention. It contains Discord logo. It's perhaps gently kneading your mind with its bubbly, metaphorical fingers, making you open to the suggestion, cracking open Discord, joining the Andy and Rem Show Discord server, perhaps even joining the Facebook group as well. Want to join the Facebook group? Want to follow me on Twitter as well? Instagram? You want to subscribe to Remington Steel, in fact? Maybe content on there at some point, you never know. As the bubbles relax you and put you into this deeply suggestive state, or you're pretty much willing to subscribe and follow to any social media outlet associated with Andy 2D6 or the Andy and Show, and many of them can be found in links in the description. In fact, you're also thinking you should part with your life savings, pledge it to the Patreon to keep this channel afloat. This deep, deep, relaxing pool, inner fulfillment, entering soul. You want to reward that financially. You want to bankrupt yourself, giving generously. This show. I'm going to tell you to stop a bit short of bankruptcy, but do give generously. Don't put yourself out of a home. Don't sell the shirt off your back. Unless it's a particularly valuable one and you could then use that money to pay for, let's say, a new Age of Sigmar starter set. Just saying. Okay. Now, as the bath starts to cool a little bit, it's about time. Open your eyes out of the bath. Steam is gone. Bath. I'm sure everyone had a wonderful time there.
I'm not quite sure what happened. I feel compelled to get my checkbook out.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on, but I feel that overall vibe is kind of sweeping the globe at this moment. The seed has been planted in the minds of the viewers of this show. They're going to allow it to grow.
So, Andy,
Yes.
we're looking at just 2 weeks before restrictions get eased in the UK.
That is the plan.
And to celebrate this fact, wouldn't you like to get your miniatures on the table and face your old enemy, Remington, one more time?
Yes, but haven't you sold all your armies?
I have not. Look behind me.
Which one's
There are-
that?
I have a massive Cities of Sigmar army, which is comprised of 3 armies. Dwarves, Wood Elves, and formerly known as Empire, all put together. Massive army. I've got Gloomspite Gits with the Loon Shrine as well. And lots of trolls.
Which unit are you thinking would like to get eaten by my Stardrake first?
Well, none of them really. I've got lots of endless spells, all painted. got the what are they called? Daughters of Cain Army, which I'd like to try because I've never played them. Fully painted. Of course, I've got the halflings, but they're kind of just for show at the moment.
Well, we are definitely going to keep our eyes firmly on the various restrictions that are being lifted and what the new rules and guidelines are as they evolve, and they usually change a little bit from what was initially planned. We're going to keep our eyes firmly on the prize there, and then see what is possible in the gaming realm.
Well, we do live in in what's known as the nanny state, don't we, Andy? Like, we have to have permission to do everything. There you go.
We shall see. There's definitely going to be miniatures on the table at some point soon. We just have to find out exactly when it is and where it can take place safely.
Now, what I need you to do, Andy, is read all the rules for me. I've also finished my Necromunda warband. My clan Escher is raring to go.
Yes, Necromunda.
Yes. So, yeah, I think we're going to need more than one session, to be fair. But it's going to be epic. It's going to be RemCon, the return of RemCon after so long. And I'm going to make a prediction right here, right now, that Remington will come out victorious once again. But Andy, you will take a noble second place. Don't be scared of that. There's no.
I think it's a bit early to be making bold claims like that when we haven't even decided the terms of the game yet.
Well, I'm sure you'll try and change the rules or make up the rules as we go. But listen, shouldn't we make this a public event? Because every time we go to Warhammer World, we meet so many people that just want to join in the fun. In fact, one time, someone walked over to the table and shouted Remington as I rolled the dice.
That is true, actually. I feel like our name value has sunk slightly.
Yes, but we never know. You never know, my friend.
I do think what would be nice at some point would be to live stream a game as well. That way, the audience could tell us the rules.
That would be good. Yes, that would be pretty cool. Yeah, I get very tired though. Like halfway through the game, all the maths just really tires me out.
How would you cope in a tournament setting? 4 games in a day sometimes.
I wouldn't. But these guys that do tournaments, they play their one army to death, don't they? They just kind of know all the rules off by heart, and it's all very, they don't have to tell everyone what they're doing the whole time.
That is true.
It's all autopilot, isn't it? So, yeah, it's just finding the time, isn't it? I've just finished recording a new album, and I'm working in Nottingham as well, so I've got lots on my plate.
Well, apparently, Annie wants you to come and meet the guinea pigs.
Okay.
You could have like a guinea pig break in the middle of the game.
Interesting. That sounds fun.
You'd refuel yourself with guinea pig stroking.
Yeah. And if we do go to Warhammer World, I think people would like to see the new Warhammer World menu as well, Bugman's Bar menu.
When it reopens, I do wonder whether they're going to have made some changes to it or whether it's just been sitting there collecting dust the whole time.
I mean, I think we should take some of the Andy and Rem merch into Warhammer World and set it up on the table next to what we're playing and try and sell that. That'd be quite interesting.
I don't know if they would be agreeable.
It's a sort of a shop within a shop. The new concept.
I can just imagine Remington Industries having like a van with a hatch that opens like a burger van. So you open it and it's all the merch in there, and you just drive up outside Warhammer World and just park there all day until the police tell you to move on.
It's worth a shot, Andy. Worth a shot.
Brad says, with all the merch you have available, yes, we have plenty of merch available in the Redbubble store, which is linked in the description, including the new Forest of Rem Season 3 logo, which is available on merch now. Do you have any Andy and Rem dice? We do not. The issue with the dice, the way I want to do them, I would like to have a set of dice. So the Remington dice have the word Remington on the side of the 1, where it belongs. And then the Andy dice have either the word Andy or just some word that I like to use on the 6, because that makes sense. But some people wouldn't be happy with a dice set that mixed up where the symbols or the words are. So we have to have a really good think about that and decide what would be best, because obviously it would be funnier for Remington to be on the 1 rather than the 6.
How about if the 1 or the 6 it's not numbered, but one of them's Remington and the other one's Andy, so the player can decide.
There's potential in that, but the dice manufacturers I've spoken to, their standard is to only put something on one side. And to do anything else is like vastly outside of their procedure, so they have to like rearrange their whole machine or something, so it's way more expensive.
Oh, no, that's a shame. I think we'll only be able to do Remington, I'm afraid, then, Andy. So you'll have to miss out this time round.
We're working on it though. Something that's at the forefront of my mind, at least.
Now, Andy, I've got something quite exciting. Can I share it with you? I might do my own little unboxing video of this, or I might do my own little review, but I just wanted to plug it on this show because I said I would. Give me one memento.
Go on then, you have one memento.
Okay, right. So, if you didn't know, Andy gets sent a lot of free stuff. Okay?
Not so much anymore.
No. But this came for me the other day. An orange package. Now, you'd be forgiven for thinking that this was from Andy, but it wasn't. It was from Outlands Terrain.
Oh.
And an old colleague of mine has set up his own company making terrain kits from laser MDF. And I have in my hand La Brasserie, or the pub in English. And it looks pretty cool. So I'm looking forward to putting that together. And he wants me to paint it. And he's going to use my paint jobs for the website and whatnot. So I showed him some Age of Sigmar terrain, and he's going to sort of make some sort of Age of Sigmar-y terrain. But yeah, check that out. Outlands Terrain. In fact, I'll check it out. I'll check it out for you and see what else they've got. Brand new. But yeah, I don't usually do any plugging on the show because no one sends me anything. But this is awesome.
So Remington Steel now in the pocket of what is it, Outlands Terrain?
Yes, I'm trying. I don't think they have a website yet. That's how brand new it is.
Well, we'll keep you posted on that over the weeks. Sure. And I'm sure that Mr. Remington will be posting updates on his painted hub, probably on Facebook or on the Discord server.
Yeah, if that interests you.
Two places that you should be heading, by the way, if you're not there already. And if you haven't liked the video yet, what are you doing with your life? And some people haven't even subscribed either.
Okay, well, we've got a Facebook page. Let's have a look on Facebook, shall we?
You know, in fact, after the show, Remington is going to link the page somewhere so that our audience can see it. How's that?
Outlands Terrain Sales in Facebook. You can see for yourself the sort of things they're doing. I think they're focused on sort of Second World War stuff for now. But I think if they get the recommendation from Remington, they will branch out. So I'll put that in the chat.
Once they've got the backing of Remington Industries, how could they fail? Now, you may notice the thumbnails popped up again. That's because it's time to close the show for this week. We are working behind the scenes on lining up some guests very soon. So don't want to say anything yet because it's still in the pipeline.
Anyone I know?
Not the ones I'm thinking of. I don't believe you know. But
who is it?
You'll see. Time will tell on that.
Aren't I allowed to know?
Well, maybe I'll tell you after the show who's lined up. But anyway, everybody, don't forget, like, subscribe, all that nonsense, all the links in the description, all that good stuff. Don't forget to tune in next week. Keep your eyes on the channel. You could even subscribe to Remington Steel if you feel like it. And let us know what you think of this big big, big, big monstrosity of a miniature that's just popped up with his tiny little head. And see you next week. Mr. Remington, would you like to say farewell?
Say farewell. No, farewell. I always get that bit wrong.
At this point, all that remains for me to say is good night out there. Whatever you.
It's the Andy and Remington Steel Show on your screens tonight. It's the Andy and Remington Steel Show for your whole life. We're talking about Age of Sigmar and anything else that is cool. Talking about